Well, hello. I still love this room. Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to the House in Fata Morgana Reincarnation. Last time, we finished up Yukimasa and Pauline's mess of a relationship. They'll get there. They won't. They're both pretty messed up, and I kind of like that about the story. Is like they're not these people who everything's okay, because it's so unrealistic, and that's never what this series has been about. So I appreciate that. But we've moved on to Jacopo and Morgana reuniting, but they don't have memories, they just have dreams. And she keeps dreaming of what we saw in the fragment segment, if you recall that. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a stream today, and then we'll finish Reincarnation next week, which is so crazy. It's November. It's November 9th. We're a third of the way through this goddamn month already. Are you kidding? It's insane. But I can't believe, like, we're almost done with our Fata Morgana journey. How the hell did that happen? I don't know. But I'm very glad to be here. It's gonna be a little intense today. So I hope you're ready. I'm not, but we're here anyway. No putting it off. All right. Oh boy.
That dream again. Fields of wheat, stretching out like an ocean. Talk about my unseen father. Hadn't almost the same thing come up this afternoon? Could it be a coincidence? In the dream, there was someone standing before me, a silhouette of a man, his face imperceptible. But whoever it was, they meant a lot to me. If only I could see them again.
Her saying that just makes Fragment be a lot, because she's like, I hate you, but like, she really doesn't. It's very complicated. It's very, very they have an extremely complicated relationship, and like, it's never gonna be easy, clearly. It's fine. Morgana spent the following day at my apartment as well. It was a sunny Sunday, and we started it with a walk. Took a brief detour to the cafe Maria worked at. Did some light shopping. Then went home and watched a movie. Concerned she might get bored doing all the same things again. After the movie, we played video games. I wasn't much of a gamer myself, though. I mostly used the console to watch movies. So I bought the digital version of some racing game, and we had at it. We were both absolutely terrible, which helped keep things fun and not overly competitive. Yeah, because otherwise you guys fucking tear each other apart, which I want to see, but it's for the best. In our final race, Morgana's car spun out. She ended up driving backwards through the course, causing me to laugh so hard I dropped my controller. I love them getting to be normal. After that, she refused to play with me anymore, or even talk to me for a good while. I'm with you, Jacopo, don't worry. I would laugh. Monday morning, I had to go to work. It was the first time in my life that I had ever felt like an obligation, a burden. Morgana and I had spent a good 90% of our time arguing about something or other. But on some level, it seemed I'd actually come to enjoy those conversations. And having to leave that behind for work only made me realize I wasn't working because I enjoyed it, but because I had convinced myself it was all I could do. It was a way to ensure no one would be able to claim I hadn't accomplished anything when I returned to Sicily. So no one could look down on me. So no one could challenge me. I'd always believed that money and power were all one needed to get whatever they wanted in life, and I'd forfeited any semblance of a personal life to achieve that. Even now, I wasn't entirely convinced that belief was wrong either. What things did modern society place the most value in, after all? Personal assets and social standing. The more time I spent with Morgana, though, the more these pillars of my life wavered. She didn't care for fancy restaurants, and was more than happy to eat at some cheap meal that only took 10 minutes to throw together. She found beauty in the ordinary, not just things designed to appear beautiful. Filtered through her eyes, the world seemed gentler than the one I knew. Which was especially curious, as she herself was anything but gentle, mercilessly sharp-tongued and aggressively aloof. Pot in the kettle. Yet because of her, the wind on my cheeks felt warmer now. It put my heart at ease in a way I couldn't help but think. I'd felt this way before. Long, long ago. That it wasn't arbitrary. That there was an explanation for the peace she provided me. I stopped doing regular overtime at work. Where before I had written everyone off as unreliable and useless, deciding it would be best simply to handle everything myself, I started delegating some of that work back to my subordinates. Everyone was shocked at the sudden change in my demeanor, and many were upset at the reduced efficiency that resulted from it. But it was their work to begin with, so they had no grounds to complain. People were going to be talking about me behind my back. That much was inevitable when their workload increased. Even more so considering I was already disliked for how often I yelled at and chewed people out. But I didn't have time to bother myself with other people's opinions. Before, I might have been worried it would affect my prospects of promotion. But now I wasn't especially concerned. I was doing what I needed to do, and not a single thing more. And this is what's called having a healthy relationship with your employer and your job. My priority now was getting home as quickly as possible, so I could teach Morgana about the world. And then, before I realized it, 2 weeks had passed since I'd taken her in on that rainy night. Still, she was staying at my apartment. Sometimes I'd ask her with a sigh, "When are you planning on going home already?" To which she'd respond, puffing her cheeks, "You're free to kick me out whenever you please." Except I couldn't, which was why we were in this situation in the first place. And she'd challenge me, knowing I wouldn't call her bluff. That I didn't actually want to throw her out anymore. Over the past couple weeks, I bought more books and movies than I could count so she could keep herself occupied while I was at work. And shocking even myself, I'd given her a spare key as well. Something was clearly loose in my head. Doing things for her made me feel good, though. And as insane as I rationally knew I was, I couldn't fight how it made me feel. Over and over and over again, I argued with myself. But never once did good sense win out. I must confess I'd grown quite fond of this new life. It was a Thursday, a little over 2 weeks since I'd met Morgana. The first day, all I'd managed to do was force an umbrella on her. Never could I have imagined that from that encounter, we'd effectively been living together soon after. Not enough time had passed to really reminisce about how far we'd come, but nevertheless, the change was undeniable. Damn it, how is it already 8:30? So much for no more overtime. It's hard to believe 8:30 feels late to me now. She's probably already eaten by now. Surely she's not waiting for me. I love the light fixture in this front room. I get distracted by it literally every time this scene comes on. I'm like, God, that's so cool. Hey, I'm home. Morgana. Hello? Morgana? Are you there? I couldn't find her anywhere in the apartment. She wasn't asleep. She wasn't in the shower either. She was just gone. as if the last 2 weeks had all been a dream. We weren't family, nor were we really living together, but I'd gotten so used to having someone there to snark at me when I got home that it felt off to be greeted by silence. My first thought was that something had happened to her. She was hurt or in danger. But the apartment was just how I'd left it. The door was still locked, and there was no sign of anyone breaking in. She had left of her own volition, locking the door behind her. Could she have gotten into trouble somewhere else then? Now, for God's sake, I've got no way of getting in touch with her either. I should have bought her a phone, and a spare in case she lost it. Do I go looking for her? Call the police, maybe? Slow down. Why was I acting like she needed to be here when I got back? After how many times I'd told her to get out? I never meant it as anything more than banter, but how was she supposed to know my intentions? Wouldn't it have made more sense for her to have just gone home, as opposed to something actually happening to her? That I was the only one enjoying our time together, and she had finally gotten tired of me for good. I mean, thinking back, she clearly always seemed annoyed. Constantly complaining, never smiling. Telling me who even knows how many times I should burn in hell. What if I'd misread her and she wasn't joking? And every day here was piling on more and more stress. As much as I continued to insist that she was a child, it wasn't like she was primary school or middle school age. She was old enough to think and make decisions for herself. In fact, judging from the short time we'd been together, she was very mature for her age. So she wasn't going to be completely helpless if something did happen to her. So I guess that's that. She's through with me then, huh? I wish she would have at least said goodbye, but I guess to her we were just strangers, so... I wasn't so much angry as I felt bummed. Mondo bummer. I tossed the movie I'd bought over lunch onto the counter. Then collapsed onto the couch. She'd always sat right here, in the spot. She was small, barely took up any space, but the hole left in her absence felt larger than life. The room was uncomfortably quiet now, and it felt like the temperature had dropped several degrees as well. This is just a return to the status quo. It's nothing to get upset about, you fool. Guess I'll make myself dinner then. Stood motionless in the kitchen, unable to scrounge together the motivation to make anything. Mood. I wasn't cooking for anyone else, so it didn't have to be anything fancy. Just warm up a can of spaghetti sauce and toss it over some pasta. Easy. Huh? Was that the door?
Oh, hello. I thought you might be a bit longer tonight. Making dinner for yourself, I see.
She stood there before me with a grocery bag in her hands. I stood before her, utterly stupefied. She frowned that oh-so-familiar frown. She didn't have to say a word, and I could still hear her mocking me clear as day. It felt like all the wind had been sucked out of me, and with it the ability to lie. Yeah, I thought you'd gone home, so I...
Yes, I did just come home.
Stop. Stop it! I hate this game. Kill me. We weren't on the same page. She seemed to think that by home I meant...
Oh.
It finally hit her. That without even missing a beat, she'd call my apartment her home.
What are you laughing about? It was just a slip of the tongue, okay? You don't need to make such a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't on purpose.
But you're still laughing. I don't understand you at all.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't understand myself one gosh dang bit either.
Gosh dang.
God damn it. Now it's my turn for a slip of the tongue. I hadn't talked like that in years. Just pretend I didn't say that. You didn't hear anything, okay?
think I prefer that to the alternative. I mean, well, I don't know why you feel the need to force yourself to blaspheme so often, and you would be much more approachable if you lightened up your language some. I'd appreciate it if you did so around me at least.
If I feel the need, maybe. She smiled, a rare occurrence. But I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. I absolutely wanted to take in every second of it, though. God, I was acting like a damn child. But it was getting to be impossible to deny what was going on. I was a 26-year-old man, and she a good decade younger. It was wrong on so many levels to have these feelings about her. But I was entranced with Morgana.
You are allowed to sleep in your own bed, you know.
I was getting ready to head to the living room for bed when Morgana interrupted me. Did this girl understand the meaning of her words? She was telling me I could sleep in the same bed as her.
You can't be getting much rest sleeping on the couch every night. And it's not like I'm going to be a distraction, am I?
That's not the issue. It's wrong for us to sleep in the same bed. There's no excuse.
I don't follow your logic.
It's wrong, so it's wrong. That's all there is to it.
And I think it's wrong for you to have to go to work with bags under your eyes. You've been having trouble getting up in the morning lately.
Wow, you pay more attention to me than I thought. If you're so concerned, you can sleep on the couch then.
No way. I prefer the bed.
Morgana. No, it's my house now. Then why are you...
If you insist you absolutely want to sleep on the couch, then who am I to stop you? But I'm going to bed now, so good night.
I really like the design on his pillows. The red one. I love that. I'm so about... Where can I find the same? That looks like it's like silk or satin or something nice. Anyway. Somehow, Morgana managed to wear me down, and now we were both in bed. The same bed. I was pretty sure I'd rest better on the couch than here, both physically and mentally. To start with, being able to sense her presence behind me was incredibly distracting, and then there was the worry I might accidentally roll over and crush her. That's what I always worry about sharing the bed with people, like I'm gonna hurt them. But worst of all was her body heat. I wasn't accustomed to being able to feel anyone so close.
Don't you dare turn around, okay? I don't want to have to spend all night with your face in mine.
This is the girl who insisted I use the bed tonight. Christ. Okay, fine, I won't turn around, so get some damn sleep. She was still as a corpse behind me, but I could feel the tension in the air, nonetheless. What was she getting worked up about? Jeez. The longer the silence continued, the more uncomfortable it grew. I sighed, letting it hang in the air before breaking it with a hey. She lurched slightly at the sound of my voice. Then, after another brief pause, she responded with a what? If you can't sleep, then maybe we can talk for a little.
I don't mind, but...
Oh, the seagull wanted to make a cameo appearance. I apologize. Yeah? Uh-huh. Do you agree? No opinion? Okay.
I don't mind, but what would we talk about?
How about you finally tell me why it is you ran away from home?
You really want to know?
Of course I do.
So you can give me your unsolicited advice?
Oh yeah, I did say something like that at the cafe a couple weeks ago. It wasn't what I wanted to say, though. But maybe now, with her this close, I can stop putting on so much of an act. Maybe I can treat you a little better. Because I'm sincerely curious. I don't want to push my views onto you. I just want to get to know you better. Is curiosity such a bad thing?
No, it's not. But my reasons are boring and trite. The truth is only going to disappoint you.
I'm not asking because I want to hear a good story.
Do you believe in God?
What? God? Where did that come from? I'm asking about you, not...
Just answer the question.
Honestly, no, I don't believe in God. Not that I explicitly believe there isn't one, either. But true believers are a minority in this day and age, especially in first world countries. Churches have largely become venues for weddings and funerals.
Right. Not many people believe in God in modern times, but I do. I believe in the Heavenly Father, who watches me from above.
Girl, poor girl, she's back in it. Get her out.
I believe he has the power to cause miracles, and I believe he has a divine plan from which we mortals are incapable of straying from. Many generations ago, that was normal, and those without faith were burned at the stake, but that's no longer true anymore. Today, if you say you love God, people will think you're old-fashioned, or worse yet, incapable of rational thought at all.
She was right. These days, people weren't punished for being faithless or believing in other gods, as would have happened in ancient times. And for that, the world was a more peaceful and accepting place now. Is it? Is it? Is it really? Oh boy. Oh, Jacopo. Oh, sweetie. Oh, Grace. Oh, Grace. That's one of my favorite videos of all time. If you know what I'm talking about, the girls playing the tic-tac-toe for free throws. Oh god, if I can just get these pillows to adjust in a way. There we go. It's quite hysterical. I feel bad for them because, like, if I had been in their position, I would have been just as nervous and done stupid shit. But these societal rules for acceptance had not gone away, merely transformed over the centuries. While you wouldn't be burned at the stake anymore, those with beliefs deemed unacceptable were still made into outcasts. Something I was guilty of doing as well. I frequently found myself frustrated at people who didn't see the world the same as me. I was closed-minded and unable to adapt to different ideas. Instead, I threw them to the curb, making no attempt to reconcile or understand, refusing to examine my own beliefs. When we first met, I probably would have laughed in her face if she'd told me she believed in God. The Heavenly Father, his divine plan, fantasy nonsense, all of it. I wouldn't have even given her the time of day. Sorry, I'm adjusting my mic. I have to say a little differently because I kind of smashed my toes today against my bed frame, which is hard wood. I saw God and he said, "Shut up, pussy." Oh, jeez.
My mother is a much more devout believer than me, though. Or perhaps you could say she depended on her faith. I told you about my father, right? And how I've never met him before? Well, supposedly the divorce was very difficult for my mother. So she took to attending a local church, bringing me with her. There she found fellowship, relief from her loneliness, salvation. There I had a home, a place to learn right from wrong, and a place to confess my sins.
What would a kid your age have to confess? Isn't that a whole thing for people old enough to take responsibility for their actions?
It wasn't anything I did. I have the black mark of sin on my very soul.
Excuse me, what?
My soul did not pass through the gate of God's judgment before entering a new mortal body. It is still blemished by the sins of my previous life. So they told me I must atone for those sins in this life.
Who the hell told you that? The priest at the church? Listen to me, Morgana. You're allowed to believe whatever you want. I'm not going to get on your case for being abnormally pious. But I draw the line at atoning for something you never did. It's ridiculous to think you're responsible for actions taken in a past life. Reincarnation blather is bad enough on its own. But there's no reason to let vague notions of karma dictate your life now.
At first, I felt the same way as you. Why should I have to pay for sins I have no knowledge of? But the bishop and my mother, they told me that the hideous scars on my body were evidence of the sins on my soul. I saw many doctors about them, but not one could identify the cause. Which meant it couldn't be a physical ailment, but a sign from God, a curse to always remind me of how tainted my soul is.
That's absolute horseshit. Your mother and that bishop are swindling you.
And I probably would have agreed with you if I didn't have these memories that don't belong to me.
What? Memories that don't? That golden field of wheat immediately popped into my mind. I had memories that didn't belong to me, too. In them, a hazy silhouette of a girl.
In these memories, I cast a curse upon others for centuries. And I brought suffering to good people around them as well. I spread nothing but hatred. I resided in a dismal gray mansion with the air of death filling its halls, and in it I trapped the souls of 3 men. 3 men and the people closest to them, condemned for eternity for no other reason than their association. You think I'm crazy, I can see it. But think whatever you want because I know how it sounds. Souls and curses and haunted mansions. It's all childish silliness.
It was childish and silly. It was the kind of fantasy nonsense that had no place outside fiction. But I couldn't carry the words from my mind to my mouth. A chill ran down my spine, like a bony finger sliding down the skin, until it stopped at my heart. It was as if it was trying to say Morgana was talking about me. My mind was just playing tricks. There wasn't any evidence, but the thought wouldn't leave me.
Is something the matter? Did you fall asleep?
No, of course not. I'm not gonna doze off in the middle of a conversation. I was just thinking about... Never mind. Go on. I mean, you might fall asleep in the middle of a conversation. I don't know, man.
No matter how crazy anyone thinks it sounds, I still have these memories. I remember cursing those men for centuries, destroying their souls. And while they're not terribly vivid, I feel an inexplicable certainty that they are indeed real. So when they told me my scars were punishment for my sins, all the pieces fell into place. I made the 3 men atone for their sins, but I neglected to do anything about my own. So that's the purpose I've been given in this life, to acknowledge and repent for my past transgressions.
Assuming everything you said is true, and you did do all of that, I still don't think you have anything to atone for. You had a reason to curse those men. They'd done something deserving of your ire. Yeah, I agree with Jacopo. It's they who should be paying. Morgana wasn't the kind of girl to hate someone for an insignificant slight. While she could be vicious and caustic sometimes, she wasn't actually cruel. She was a sweet, selfless girl with a big heart. And the proof was right here in her insisting she needed to atone for sins she had no direct hand in. Because that was who she was. She would carry the whole world on her back if she could. So when she said she had cursed 3 men for eternity, there was necessarily more there than a minor grudge. Something bad enough happened to push her to take such drastic measures. Someone had mistreated her so badly as to deserve an eternity of torment. Someone had. But regardless, it's stupid for anyone to have to pay the mistakes of a previous life. And you shouldn't let that dictate how you live now. Was that true, though? Obviously, she didn't need to atone for anything. But what about those who had hurt her? If they were alive now, too, would I be able to say the same about them? Was it right to just let them move on? God, where was this train of thought even going? I had no idea anymore. For whatever reason, I was proceeding under the assumption that reincarnation and past lives were real, which had no scientific foundation. Was Morgana rubbing off on me? I needed to cool my head. There was no such thing as reincarnation. These memories I had places I'd never been and things I'd never done were all fantasy. How's any of that supposed to be relevant, though? How does it lead to you sleeping in a park?
Be patient. I've always believed that because of my transgressions, I have a responsibility to accept whatever happens to me. But something happened that I couldn't possibly bring myself to accept, and so I ran away. Because that was the simplest, most painless way to handle it.
So what happened? I didn't have to see her face to know she was faltering, unsure if she wanted to continue. I should have told her she didn't have to force herself, but I couldn't bring myself to stop her. I wanted to get to the root of the problem. I needed to know what she was going through. Not out of some excessive degree of care for her, though, but largely for my own personal satisfaction. After a long silence, she muttered in a voice so soft a pin dropping would drown it out.
I'm of no use to my mom.
Did your mother actually say that to you?
My mother recently remarried to a man she met at the church. He's religious, so of course he's a good man.
She was mumbling absent-mindedly and didn't seem to be hearing me at all. This wasn't like her. She was always very direct when she spoke. It was making me uneasy. A shadowy figure seemed to tower over me, so I blurted something out without thinking to try to chase it off. Being religious doesn't make one a good person. That's not how it works. There are bad people everywhere. Not even heaven is an exception. Please, tell me what happened, Morgana. The longer she stayed silent, the more overpowering my anxiety grew. Why wouldn't she answer me? Why wouldn't she tell me? A black fog swirled around me, slowly filling the room. A black poison coursed through my veins, infecting my entire body. Did he do something unspeakable to you? Boundless rage swelled up within me, too great for me to restrain. Because if he did, I'll fucking kill him.
Calm down. He didn't hit me. He didn't touch me. He didn't do any of the things you're worried about.
And just like that, she pacified the hatred rising within me, leaving me aghast at my own reaction. Had I just seriously entertained the thought of killing a man? And for what? Because I jumped to the worst possible conclusion? A completely baseless one at that. I wasn't being reasonable. I was acting like a feral dog. I was seconds from ripping a man's throat out for setting foot in my territory. It was absurd. It didn't matter how enchanted by her I was. That wasn't reason enough to murder her stepfather. I'd like to hope that at least I had that much of my sanity intact.
All he did was tell the truth. He's in the right, and I'm in the wrong.
Stop beating around the bush. If all he did was tell the truth, you wouldn't have run away.
I suppose, maybe. He told me that I sickened him. The sound of my voice, the color of my eyes, the way I act, but most of all, the hideous scars on my body. He says he's physically repulsed by everything about me. He married my mother because he loved her, not because he cared about me, so I guess I only served to get between them. Or perhaps my entire existence was offensive to him. He's told me many times that the world would be a better place without me, that everyone would be happier if I'd never been born.
How the hell is that telling the truth? Are you implying you deserve verbal beatings from your father figure because of some perceived sins committed in a previous life? A grown man has no place talking to a child like that, let alone his own goddamn stepdaughter. He's the one in the wrong here on all accounts. And your mother just lets him deride you like that?
My mother, she supports him in all his decisions, and I support her in that. She raised me as a single mother for so long, she deserves this chance to be happy. So I don't want to do anything to sabotage that.
You deserve to be happy just as much as she does.
God teaches that the righteous must place the needs of others before their own.
Who cares what... Oh, for Christ's sake, you have no problem telling me to burn in hell. Surely you have enough vitriol to spare for them. I don't get it. Why stand up for the man who deserves your anger the most?
Because he's family.
Being family doesn't give you a free pass to do whatever the hell you want. And someone being family doesn't obligate you to love them. Hear, hear, Jacopo. That's the smartest thing you've ever said. I'll drink to that. Hydrolyte, of course. I don't drink alcohol anymore. Of course, the church wasn't going to agree with me. You were supposed to unconditionally love your family, even if they weren't showing you any love in return. I would have taken the caustic, venom-tongued Morgana over this meek, self-sacrificing side absolutely any day. No matter how you may choose to deny it, that is abuse. Words can do as much damage as a fist. Tell me, how old are you? None of this I'm in my 20s crap. I want you to tell me the truth.
16.
As I'd suspected, she was a full decade younger than me. But having actual confirmation made it that much more real. It sickened me that a 16-year-old girl had to live like that. She was at an age where she still needed her parents, and yet neither of them were there for her. Do you go to school?
I did before running away. I'd never missed a day, or even been late.
Alright, then you should keep going. You'll have a lot more options if you graduate high school. And once you have, move out straight away. That's what your asshole of a stepfather wants anyway. I'm not telling you to do this for your family's sake, though, but for yours. Don't let him tear your life to shreds.
But what would I even do once I'm out of the house? I don't have to tell you how little about the world I know. I have no goals, no aspirations, no idea where to find any either.
You don't need to know what you want immediately. Finding it's a process. There's a whole wide world out there that you've never had the opportunity to explore. And, you have me here.
Oh.
You can come back here as often as you want while you're working on graduating. In time, you'll find something you want to do. And I'll help you do it. Is that not good enough? Do you think there's nothing I can do to help?
You're certainly not the best for the job. You get impatient and frustrated whenever I'm trying to feel my way around, and you like to ramble on and on about useless trivia. You're the meanest teacher I've ever had.
I'll work on that.
I'm kidding. As long as you don't shout, you're fine as you are.
Oh, well, that's a relief.
Until now, I never knew that having someone get upset on your behalf could take so much weight off of your shoulders.
I'll happily get upset at anyone if it makes you feel better. Luckily for us, I'm told I do have a bit of a temper.
Please keep your temper in check. I fear you might actually attack someone if you get too angry.
I would never. At least not where you had to see it.
I'd prefer you didn't hurt anyone regardless of whether I'm watching. I trust you'll do the right thing, though. After all, you are kind at heart, whether you show it or not.
Now that's the last thing I expected to hear from you. Is the world gonna end tomorrow or something?
I take it back. You're not kind at all. You're just obnoxious and nosy.
I need to learn when to keep my mouth shut. But Jacopo, these are some of the smartest things you've ever said, so you know what? I'll take it. And he's right. You know, family is important, and respecting people is important, but if they're treating you that poorly, no. It doesn't matter if they're family. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. That they need to work on themselves, and they don't deserve to have you in a relationship with them of any kind. Whether you're blood related or not. And I know it's easier said than done. But you can get away from it, and it will get better. I can't believe I'm saying that, actually. Being in your teens and 20s kind of sucks. I will tell you that the year I've had in my 30s, like the first year of my 30s, was really tumultuous, but also like one of the better years of my life, for sure. And I think a lot of people tend to agree with that. 30 is truly the new 20. So don't give up. There's probably a Jacopo in your life, you probably just haven't discovered them yet. And if you need a Jacopo in your life, you know where to find me. I'm slightly less abrasive, but only slightly.
Thank you. Good night.
Of course. Good night, Morgana. And sweet dreams. As I'd feared, her situation was far from ideal. Hopefully, she was able to find a glimmer of hope after our conversation. Family troubles weren't something that went away overnight, though. For all I knew, things were much worse than she'd let on. to the point that maybe even graduating high school was unrealistic. If that were the case, going back to school might not have been the best advice after all. All I could do was pray that things weren't that bad. My advice was too vague and general to actually fix anything. But that was the best I could do for someone who was essentially still a stranger. Her family was a complete black box. I could only see the outcome, none of the process. And it frustrated me to no end. The black block. Oh, I get this now. It's a reference to fucking science. We talk about that. We talked about it in research methodology class. Don't play music, don't you dare. God fucking stop. Please.
So you're going to look for a different way to be a fool then? Did you hear a single word I said? Why do I even bother? So what madness is brewing in that hollow skull of yours now?
I'm going to win your heart.
That was even worse than I imagined. You're possibly the world's biggest fool. What is it now? You want me to call you by your name? Why would I waste my breath?
Listen to how many times I'm saying your name.
You're not yourself today. You're never so forward. It's not right. Perhaps you ate something moldy. Besides, your name is just another word. It's nothing to get so worked up about. What are you, a child?
Are you disappointed in me?
I never said that. I'm not going to call you by your name. Understood? For heaven's sake. Let's change the subject. The way you're silently staring at me is making my skin crawl. So, the lute. I would like you to teach me how to play the lute. Why? Is there something wrong with me wanting to know how to play? I suppose it is unusual, perhaps. I never had a chance to learn much of anything, though. I know little of how people normally entertain themselves, so I want you to catch me up on what I missed. And don't get upset if I'm a slow study. You do have an impossibly short fuse, after all. Perhaps it would have been better if we had done this sooner. I want you to forget everything I've said. This is a realm where nothing bad ever happens, right? So I'd like to indulge in this childish dream for a little while longer. Oh, you foolish child. Dreams don't last. You always wake up at the end. And the sweeter the dream, the more bitter reality tastes when you have to return. But you know that better than anyone, don't you?
What's up, bitch? Sorry. I love him.
Well, someone's up early. You're even dressed. How unusual.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, I've got something to take care of this morning. Did you sleep well?
Well enough. No worse than usual, at least. And you? Did you sleep better than on the couch?
I did. I feel quite well rested. Actually, that was probably the worst sleep I've gotten in ages. She seems to have slept like a rock, though. I'm not sure how I feel about her letting her guard down so easily around a stranger, but I'll just take it as a sign she trusts me. Or maybe I'm just invisible to her.
I trust you kept your hands to yourself while I was sleeping.
I won't stand for any false accusations. You have my word. I didn't do a thing.
That's right. You promised you wouldn't touch me without permission, and you're a man who keeps your word. That's some impressive restraint, considering you wasted no time trying to bring me home.
For the last time, you know that's not why I let you stay here. Wait, that makes it sound like you were trying to come on to...
Excuse me? Is there anything in that big head of yours? Lay a single finger on me and you're dead. In fact, you deserve to burn in hell for so much as entertaining the thought, you lecher.
You're the one who led me into that, damn it. What's more impressive is how you can go from meek and unassuming to spewing venom like an angry rattlesnake in a blink of an eye.
Well, as you know, I am a mean, bitter girl.
Go off. Same. Everyone could use a bit of a mean streak, honestly. Life's no fun if you're always playing the goody two-shoes. Forget the act and be like this around your parents, too. As long as you're comfortable with it, that is. Anyway, breakfast. I have to head out to work soon. Okay, off I go. Remember to lock the door if you go anywhere.
Wait.
Yeah?
After our conversation last night, I thought things over and decided I will go home.
If that's what you want to do, then I support you. His smiling sprite is so sweet. He's like a gremlin of a man, but this sprite is so tender. She gave me a little smile and a nod in response. Like an idiot, I felt a pang of disappointment that she was going to leave. But I was happy she'd finally found the courage to face her family. And besides, that didn't mean I would never get to see her again, so it wasn't the end of the world. I was a little concerned about how her stepfather would react. But regardless, she was still a minor. She couldn't keep living with me forever. She was in a better place now than she had been when she'd left, so surely she'd be able to get through to him. Or at the very least, not let him walk all over her anymore. If she started showing a little assertiveness, he'd probably be more liable to actually listen. And if even that wasn't enough, then, well, I was willing to step in and act as a mediator if necessary. You? A mediator? Don't make me laugh. Well, if you're leaving, I can show you the way to the train station.
Actually, I was thinking of waiting until a school day. If I go back on a day off, then I don't have an escape route, and that scares me. But since it's Friday, I wouldn't be able to make it back in time for school today. So I was planning on leaving on Monday, which means I'll be here for 3 more days.
Quite the delinquent you've grown into.
I did have a very good example, after all.
It was still morning, so she could absolutely make it back in time for school, albeit maybe a couple hours late. But she knew that as well as I did. Some things were better left unsaid. It wasn't hard to imagine her at her desk, diligently taking notes and doing classwork. A top student with perfect attendance. So running away must have been like turning her whole world on its head. There's so much more to the world and school and studies. All you need to get out of it is a diploma. Everything else is bonus. So if you need a break, take a break. That's so good. I forgot he said this. Yeah, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah. What he said. Everything else is bonus. Getting to know new people, getting to learn new things, that's so exciting. The outlaw life ain't half bad now, is it?
It could be worse. I managed to get by without feeling bad about skipping school, which would have been unimaginable before. But still... I'm glad it was you who found me.
Morgana.
I said nothing, you hear?
Loud and clear. I heard nothing, and having heard nothing, I'm glad our paths crossed too.
You know, you're kind of creepy when you're being sincere.
Right back at you, kiddo. Oh. We both laughed. Something I wasn't sure had ever happened before. Her smile was softer, warmer than normal, and I imagine mine was probably too. Hey.
Yes?
How do I put it? I thought that maybe I would be able to tell her how I felt. But it didn't seem right to take advantage of her when she was vulnerable like this. I also didn't want to make it too awkward for her to come back either. Not to mention the age difference. But it was the most important that she sorted things out in her life first. So ultimately I decided against saying anything. Yeah, you go to fucking jail. That's your go to jail card. Straight to jail. I'm done. This guy.
Are you not going to finish that thought? If you have something to say, use your words.
It's nothing. I swear we've met somewhere before. And I've been feeling that stronger and stronger these past few days. Seeing you in my dreams even. Which is why I'm wondering if maybe we crossed paths sometime long ago.
You dream about me?
Don't look at me like that. Let me guess, you think it's creepy?
No, it's not that. I think I've been having dreams about you, too. Let me guess, you think it's creepy?
Of course not. A little awkward, maybe, but not in a bad way. It's actually nice.
Maybe you're right. Maybe we have met somewhere.
I'm sure of it. And now I really have to get out of here. I'll try to get home as soon as I can today. I know you're going to say never come back, but...
I am not. I'm actually kind of glad to hear that.
Oh, well, I guess I have no choice then. I'll do what I can.
Yes, please do. And have a nice day.
You too. See you later. I love when they're being nice to each other. I love when they shit on each other, don't get me wrong, but I really like them, like, just getting along and having a normal life is really nice. It's what they deserve. I don't know if they deserve that. Well, Jacopo brought it on himself, so I guess he deserves some of it, but you know.
I ended up staying here a lot longer than I'd anticipated. And I ended up enjoying my time here far more than I could have ever imagined. Maybe because he paid so much attention to me, for whatever unfathomable reason. After 2 weeks here, there was mountains of new things in his apartment. Books and movies he would have never consumed on his own. Sweets and pastries in the kitchen. Some of nearly everything imaginable, as I'd never explicitly expressed any preferences. Between the food and the movies, much of it had never even been opened, would likely go to waste, which made me feel bad. I told him more than once to stop buying things that wouldn't get used, but he would brush me off and say he was doing it for himself, looking mildly irritated as he did. Despite all his griping, he put a great deal of time and money into making this a place where I could feel comfortable. I couldn't understand why he went to such lengths for me, though. He had nothing to gain from it. It made so little sense to me that for the first week, I'd even suspected he had some kind of ulterior motive. And the way his words and actions never seemed to line up made it even more difficult to trust him. After 2 weeks, I'd come to realize that he was just a very roundabout man by nature, and that was him trying to show kindness. Although honestly, I was hardly any better than him about that. I know I said I was going home. It feels so much more like home here. I raised the blinds, letting the morning sunlight into the room, and then I got to work on my daily routine, which began with cleaning the apartment. By now, I knew where everything went. Once I was finished with that, I picked up the remote control, which I knew how to use well enough now to turn on the news. The sun slowly rose higher into the sky, and then it was lunchtime. First, I considered going out somewhere, but I only had 3 days left here, and any time away felt like it would be wasted. So I rummaged through the pantry and fixed myself a simple lunch. After eating, I relaxed a bit on the couch, and soon it was mid-afternoon. At home, I'd never been allowed to so much as make myself a cup of coffee without asking for permission first. But here, I could make it however I wanted, without having to go through anyone. So I made myself a cup with a little sugar and a little milk, brought it out to the living room, and took a seat on the couch. Then I picked up a book I hadn't read yet. Time slowly passed as I turned the pages, It was a kind of serenity I'd never experienced before. A peace of mind I could only feel here. As I turned the pages, a wave of sleepiness came over me. I could only imagine how wonderful the dream, if I were to fall asleep feeling so tranquil. The best would be that dream about the fields of wheat, so I could see what came next. That sea of gold swaying in the wind, that gentle, welcoming homeland, that tall, shadowy figure standing beside me.
Oh, Morgana. Oh, sorry for the noise.
Well, don't you just look absolutely exuberant, my dear? Enjoying your life as an ordinary girl, are you? What? Who's there? Who's there? What an utterly preposterous question. I'm almost ashamed to look at you after that. Nothing comes next in the dream, for that realm is naught but an illusion, my dear. This is your continuation. What do you mean? Precisely what I said. You have no troubles or worries here, do you? You left your past behind to bask in an illusory happiness, blind to the fact that every second of it is based in lies. That's not true. This is real. It's not a lie. And besides, I have plenty of worries here too. Certainly things seem difficult to you now, but they're all trivial concerns next to what you went through before this. Before? It started to come back to you, hasn't it? The sins of your past life have begun taking shape in your memory. You're beginning to accept that you deserve those hideous scars. So open your eyes and face it. My eyes are open. Not all the way, my dear. You only let yourself see the pretty frame, telling yourself it's the whole thing while ignoring the painting within. Hopefully the illusion doesn't shatter too quickly. But who can say? Your soul was much more deeply affected than theirs were. The weight of your sins is greater than you can imagine. It's not something you can simply leave in the past. Please stop. I can't bear the sound of your voice. You wish to be rid of me? I'm sorry, my dear, but that's simply not possible. Not now that your memories are beginning to resurface. You could have gone on as you were if you hadn't met him. But the gears of fate have fallen into place, and there's nothing you can do to stop it anymore. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Oh, but you do, my dear. You've merely averted your eyes from the truth. You must face it. Accept the path you've found yourself on. Stop. But do remember, I am not the one who put you there. Yours is a path of your own creation, built upon the sin you carry on your soul. The sin of... Stop! Please, I'm begging you! The sin? Please! Of the witch. You cannot escape me, because you are me. There's no leaving the past in the past and starting over for you. You must never forget the pain they inflicted, the sorrow you felt, the isolation and despair, the hatred. You can't pretend. Those years of agony just never happened. Stop! Get away! Get out of me!
Tell me you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood. You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made. Limbs were lost. I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have killed people before, haven't you? Enough yapping. She is alive, yes? Or I knew her. Years ago. I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick. What do I want to do? Obviously. This doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned.
Remember exactly who it is, whose hand you're considering accepting.
Hey, Morgana, are you alright? Can you hear me? Are you feeling sick? Are you okay? She's conscious at least. What happened? Help me out here. Do you want me to take you... Do you want me to call an ambulance?
No doctor will be able to help me.
You're on the ground unconscious, though. Whoa, you can't just stand up so fast. You need to lie down and rest. Hang on, I'll get some water.
Who are you?
Huh? What the hell? Did you hit your head when you fell?
What are you doing here?
Morgana.
Tell me, which one of you are you now? Are you the lord who murdered the witch?
What are you?
Are you the businessman who drove his wife to ruin?
What on earth are you?
Are you the slave man?
Or...
Which one are you?
I'm...
Or do you not remember anything? Are you the only one who gets spared from this suffering? Tell me, who killed the witch?
Oh, God, no. The last missing piece of the puzzle clicked audibly into place. His form filled my vision. His face was frozen in terror, as if witnessing the end of the world. Her form filled my vision. Her face was twisted in hatred, as if witnessing the end of her world. It all came flooding back.
It all came flooding back. That I was once a witch with miraculous healing powers in my blood. And that I had cursed this man for all eternity with a fate worse than death.
It all came flooding back. That I was once a feudal lord who'd imprisoned her to steal her blood, turning her into the witch. And that I had yearned for a chance to atone.
The time I had shared with the slave man meant the world to me. Then he had gone and crushed that world, along with all my good memories.
I loved her with all my heart. Then I had gone and crushed her along with everything she held dear.
While I understood that he hadn't done any of that this time, still, I was overcome with a hatred unlike any I had ever experienced before.
I had no answer for her. I couldn't explain what I was doing here.
Thoughts and memories and feelings spanning centuries swirled around in my mind, so disconcerting and chaotic it made me nauseous.
I didn't reject it as outrageous or unreasonable. These were my sins, my mistakes, regardless of when they had happened.
This man had murdered me.
I had murdered her.
Though I had loved him.
Though I had loved her.
Why did the memories have to come back now, though?
Why this exact moment?
I could have moved forward with my life, found happiness. If only these old memories had stayed lost in the past.
But there was no escaping them now.
was no laughing it off and moving on from this. How dare you show yourself before me after everything you've done? All the pain and suffering you inflicted, all the hope you took in your hands and crushed. I vowed we would never cross paths again. I engraved it on your soul. I despise myself for coming so close to opening up to you.
Wait, please. Hold on, Morgana.
Don't you dare utter my name again. Just cruel. Right as I thought my life wasn't going to be miserable anymore, this happens. Why should I have to be at the mercy of these centuries-old memories? Why won't you let me forget it all already? I wish I didn't have any of these accursed memories ingrained in my soul. Michelle, when you set me free, it was the witch you released, not the girl. Pulling back the curtain was enough to stop me from being a witch. But what lay behind that curtain is just a source of new pain for the powerless girl I've become. Because the man responsible for breaking my spirit, fracturing my soul, killing my body, and setting into motion a tragedy spanning a millennium, was also the man I had loved. The truth you revealed was unbearable. So I chose not to bear it at all. The second I lifted the curse, I closed my eyes and decided I simply wouldn't acknowledge that fact. The end of a curse was only me letting go, not facing up to that revelation. What could I have even done? Going down that path would only bring me more pain, like I'm feeling now. I wanted nothing to do with it anymore. No hatred, no forgiveness, no reunions. I just wanted to be rid of it all. Why can't things ever go the way I want? Michelle, will you offer salvation to this powerless girl as well? Will you take my hand once again? Or will it have to be?
Morgana. Morgana!
Did I black out again?
Morgana!
Who's there? Who's calling for me?
Finally found you, you snot-nosed brat. Do you have any idea how much time you made me waste searching?
Stop! Ow! It took a few moments for my mind to catch up with what was happening. Where I was, when I was, who I was. His angry shouts echoed in my still jumbled head.
You think you have any right to run away and give me more work when I'm the one supporting you and your mother?
Oh, stop! Don't yank me like that. Let go!
You want me to let go, huh? Then you should start doing as I say. Come on, we're going home. And don't you think about giving me any more trouble, you hear?
My chest tightened. My spirit, shackled and repressed for so long in this era, went cold. The sound of this man's voice terrified me regardless of what he was saying, and the higher he raised it, the more I recoiled. Over the years, his poison had seeped deep into me, and I glared at him. I wasn't going to let him order me around anymore. I was done. Done with him and everything else that hurt me. If you want to hit me, then go right ahead. I'll take that over going home with you. I'd rather you just killed me here and got it over with.
You insolent little brat. Oh, you're gonna regret that. I'll fix you right up, so you never talk back to me like that again.
Ow!
Stop! Get your hands off her! What are you? Lay your hand on her one more goddamn time, and I will kill you right where you stand. Who the hell do you think you are? She's my daughter, and this is a private family matter. I don't give a fuck who you are. You try touching her again. You try touching Morgana again and see what happens. You know her name? I see how it is. You abducted her, didn't you? You monster. I'll see you put behind bars for this.
No, stop! He didn't do anything. He's a complete stranger.
Don't you lie to me, child. If it wasn't him, where have you been the last 2 weeks? You can't say, can you? You run off, not a cent to your name, and then you fall in with the first man you find, you shameless little leech. The only reason she had to run away is because you're an abusive sack of shit. Maybe you should reflect on your own actions before you start criticizing hers, huh? Abusive? Me? You don't know the first thing about me. I never once raised my hand to her until today, and only as a disciplinary measure. Abuse doesn't have to be physical, asshole. Verbally attacking her and not providing for her. All that counts is abuse, too. Believe me, I know now. You keep your nose out of our family business, you hear me? I don't know what you are to her, but I'm her father. You don't get a say in anything, so do us both a favor and scram. Unless you really do want the cops involved, because I'd be happy to call them for you. Whose side do you think they're gonna take, huh? Her father's or some man she just picked up off the street? Go right ahead. You're not gonna scare me off with empty threats.
Stop. Please stop it. I'll go home with you, okay? So stop making a scene.
Why would you let him have his way, Morgana?
That's enough. And let go of my father, please.
But he hit you.
I don't want to make a big scene, so please, just stop. He's right. He has the upper hand here. Regardless of the circumstances, Jakob was still housed a 16-year-old girl for 2 weeks without her parents' permission. If I were just a little older, this would be so much simpler. I'm sorry for running away and making you look for me. I promise I won't disobey you ever again. So please, turn a blind eye just this once.
Morgana. As long as you know who's boss here. I don't want to get anyone else involved either. So let this whole little scuffle slide. Asshole. Let's go, Morgana. You know, if this was any time that Jakob was gonna kill somebody, I think it would be here. Morgana. I have one last thing I want you to know, please. The only thing I want for you is for you to be happy. I wish I could have given you that myself, but that's beyond my power, and I know it all too well. It was he who took your hand and led you to salvation. That's something I could never do, had no right to do. I remember everything I did to you now, so I promise you this. I won't force myself to be part of your life anymore. But I hope you'll still let me wish that you can live a happy, normal life this time around. Planning to keep us here all night. Get moving. I pray that you'll find happiness wherever it may be.
The inside of his car reeked of cigarette smoke. Every breath I took felt like it would make me gag. Jacopo smoked too, but the smell of his apartment wasn't nearly so repulsive. My stepfather, pushed me into the back seat, then drove off grumbling into the night. And I realized then how different grumbling out of spite and grumbling out of love could sound, even if the words were unchanged. From time to time, I glanced out the window to see Paris zooming by as the car barreled down the road. I suspected I would never see this place again, never visit his house again. The light I had found over these past 2 weeks was dimming before my eyes. And once we were home, and the light faded completely, I would be a bird in a cage, alive but not living. In the blink of an eye, it's all gone again. But I guess that's just how it works. Our farewell back then was sudden as well. Wait, what am I thinking? I'm glad he's out of my life. I never wanted to see his smug face again. Now I don't have to worry about any of those intrusive feelings he causes me. Hatred, anger, hopelessness, the tiniest bit of fondness. But the more I tried to push his memory away, the louder his final words came back to me.
But I hope you'll still let me wish that you can live a happy, normal life this time around.
And how do you expect me to do that when I'm trapped in this cage? Where did this... I felt something I didn't remember in my pocket. It was a small handwritten note. Careful not to alert my stepfather, I unfolded the square of paper. And written in it was a neat list of addresses and phone numbers. At first I couldn't figure out what they were for, but as I read further, the pieces began falling into place. It was contact information for a wealth of social services and scholarship programs. Everything from services run nationwide by the government to small local ones.
I don't know why this is getting to me.
Every square inch of paper was packed to the bursting point with his handwriting. When on earth had he found the time to collect all this information? I hadn't told him about my family situation until last night.
Good morning. Yeah, I've got something to take care of this morning. Did you sleep well?
Is that why he was up so early? What is wrong with him? Maybe the list was meant for himself, and he had been planning to contact these places as a way to help me. Maybe giving the list to me wasn't originally his intention. It really was just notes for himself, pure information, and not some kind of message. However, I felt as though I could hear him in every line, like I could feel the heart he poured into it, in the form of his voice. And he was saying,
Your life is yours, and yours alone.
You know, Jacopo, I really hope we don't ever cross paths again. Nothing good could possibly come from us meeting in the next life. I'm tired of having to deal with you. I hate you, and I pray I never have to see you again. But should you wish to see me, and should that wish take priority over my own, promise you'll treat me well. And if you can manage that, then I was wrong. I thought I'd remembered everything, but apparently a few fragments of that childish dream were still missing. It wasn't merely a fantasy, but a dream seen by a soul in the throes of its destruction. His soul was on the brink of of complete eradication, bound in place and soon to be lost forever. It was his final wish, brought on by the weight of his guilt. While I'd freed the souls trapped in the mansion, he had never wanted to be set free. And having been denied his eternal penance, he chose to erase himself from the world entirely. What are you doing here? It turned out the answer to that question was in me. I was the one who had led him out of that dream, prevented his soul from being lost to eternity.
Guess I'll die. Guess I'll fucking die. It's fine. I'm gonna stop here. I know that's really short, but I don't. Otherwise, we'll be going on for like 4 hours, and I can't do that today. I'm so tired. Thanks for joining. I don't know why the part where he's written all those things for her kills me. I had to like stop for a second because it really got. I played this before. I knew it was coming, but it just like I don't know. There's something about that really hits different. Well, next week we'll be finishing Reincarnation and most likely jumping into a couple of short stories. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I can't believe we're almost done with the Fata Morgana experience. It's crazy. Also, remember, I have links in my bio. Sorry, my brain is just stuck on the previous scene. I have links in my bio for the Q Project Q, helping the Pacific Northwest queers out, especially the older generation. It's really important that we are there for them. We have a lot more than they did. And there's also links to help Ukraine. Keep an eye on that. I need to go in and find some updated stuff too. I just haven't had the brain cells because this fucking game and my life. Next week, yeah, finishing Reincarnation. Oh boy. Where does it go from here, my friends? Where indeed? It's a very good ending. It's a very, very good ending. I will cry. And I need you to not judge me for it. And also Sunday, Grandia 2. It will be a one that you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss Sunday's Grandia 2 stream. It's going to be pretty banger, if I do say so myself. So anyway, I'll let you all get back to your lives. Stay safe out there. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. And I'll see you when I see you. Wow.